Hello there, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's episode of In the Code Garden. I'm Renee Noble, the Regional Cloud Advocate for the Australia and New Zealand region, and I'm here today with my special guest co-host, Amanda Hogan. First up, let's talk about a little bit about Amanda first. Amanda is a good friend of mine, and obviously the best choice to have for my first guest co-host, which we hope to personally have more guest co-hosts, but also hope Amanda will come back after this month. Amanda came to a realization that she wanted something more out of life while working at Microsoft and took the opportunity to retrain as a teacher and hasn't regretted it for a second. Since starting in teaching, she has taught all senior years in computing subjects. She has also had the opportunity to gain insight into the art and science of teaching by assisting fabulous teachers in the most faculties in schools and using technology in their classrooms. She has had the opportunity to work with many different aspects of running the school as an IT consultant, from the student leadership to database and web design. She also gets to occasionally play with robots and make computer games and watch students' eyes light up when they do the same. She has a side focus of teacher professional learning through her association with ICT Educators of New South Wales. And with her work with the Australian Computing Academy, she also gets around, she should also probably get around to writing that textbook, which me and Amanda have been talking about for several years now, actually.
A little while now, yeah.
A little while. Pre-COVID, I think, we were talking about this textbook. So we can get around to that. And now the world can hold us accountable, I think. So they'll be knocking on our doors asking for the computer science textbook any day now, I'm pretty sure. But we're so happy to have Amanda here, and she's just an inspirational teacher and person. So what a guest to have on our show today. As I said, I am the Regional Cloud Advocate for Australia, and I love all things tech, education, and community, and they're going to do that today here with our focus on creating a portfolio with GitHub Pages. Why are we here to do this today, Amanda? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important to have a presence on the internet when you're just starting out or when you're trying to showcase what you can do. And so GitHub Pages just makes it really easy. And if you know a little bit about HTML and CSS, you can make something pretty amazing and showcase what you can do to prospective employers or scholarship applications or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just an awesome way to show off what you've been already working on and just bring it all together to really showcase who you are. So today what we're going to tell you is why to have a portfolio, which we've just told you a little bit about. What is GitHub and GitHub Pages? We're going to get you started with a template. We're not going to make you start from scratch because that can it just takes you a long time to get to something functional then. So we'll give you something to start with, and you can always change that to be whatever you like. We're going to talk about what is good to put in a portfolio and what's not too good to put in it. And then we're going to build our portfolio and deploy our site so everyone can then access it. So today's garden tools are going to be, you have the option to either use Visual Studio Code or github.dev. We're going to be demonstrating in github.dev because it's just super easy to just get up and running in the browser without even installing something. And we're going to be using the Code Swing extension. Obviously, we're going to be using GitHub and GitHub Pages, as we mentioned. And also, Amanda and I, so we can work on the same file, are going to use the Live Share extension, which is just a really neat extension where we can both code in the same file at once, which is really convenient if potentially you're working on a university project or something whilst in the middle of a global pandemic and you can't be in the same location as other people for some reason. So if that were to happen to you, you could use this extension and we really are convenient for you. So let's, talk about what is GitHub first. So to your students, Amanda, what is GitHub? Have they heard of it? What's the go?
Okay, so I did a bit of a test run of this yesterday with my Year 12s, and they know that GitHub exists, but it's like GitHub is something that real developers do and not something that's relevant to me. And so it was really fun to be able to talk through, and I like your slide because this is very much what their major projects folders look like with version 1, version final, no really actual final. I like super final, that's great. And so like learning how to use these tools for version control and have them cloud-based. And just all of that was really a bit mind-blowing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can vouch for it. If you whoever worked on a project and then maybe your computer decided to like cark it, like just wasn't going to respond, and all your code was saved on there for like maybe your honors thesis or something, and you really wanted to be able to access that code, it's really great to have it backed up on GitHub, because then you can just pull it down. So yeah, you can just get that stuff back and you won't fail your honors thesis, as I didn't, which is terrific. Thank you, GitHub. So how does GitHub work? Well, it tracks your changes basically. So whenever you have a file and you make changes to it, you can commit those changes. So it just notices any lines that have been added, deleted, or edited in any way. And that way, instead of saving copies and copies and copies of the same file, it can just notice the different lines that have been changed and just have a note of that's what the update was, and then it can assemble what your current file is from those changes. And it also makes it really easy to use when you're working with other people, because if someone else made changes and I made changes and we wanted to push those back together, we could assemble a new piece of code from all those changes, and we just have to work out any parts that were overlapping. So that can be a bit tricky to get started with, the overlapping parts, but once you get a hang of it, it's actually not too scary. So that's how we're gonna, we can use it to keep our code in the cloud. These are kind of the great upsides. The best one is it backs up your files in the cloud, and also you can go back in time if you realize that you deleted a part of your code that is really important, but you didn't realize it at the time. You can just go back and get that code, and it'll be back. Any other hot parts that are great for you, Amanda?
Oh, I like that Simon's actually put something in the comments about how when stuff no longer works and you're not entirely sure why. The other night I was doing something with my portfolio site as a trial run, and I deleted a tag accidentally and I couldn't find it, but it just mucked up everything. So being able to roll back to 10 minutes ago was just a lifesaver.
Amazing. Yep. We've all been there, and it's just like, what was that difference? And sometimes it's just easier to go back in time. So it's a good thing. And also it just means that your stuff is already in the cloud. So when we want to integrate with something like GitHub Pages or any of like the Azure products or something, your code's already there, and you just like point whatever thing you're using at the code, and then it's just like, oh, I'll just eat that code and spit out a website for you. So it's just really convenient for making more technology more accessible and do more cool stuff. So, and working with teams to do that stuff too. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using GitHub Pages, which is part of GitHub, just to use that code that we're going to write and just put it on the web. So really convenient, great, easy, and we're going to show you how to do that. First, we've got to start by getting this code. So I'm going to drop this link into the chat so you can all pick it up. And we're going to talk about how to fork this repository first. So you can all jump here to this repo. And this is the template we're going to be using today. And we're going to just jump across to where I've already opened this file. So we can see here that we've got the code. We've got a few files which have all of the template, which we're going to walk through in a minute. And I can start by forking this code. So I can say, I'm not going to call mine. So I've already made this in the code garden repository. So that's where you can go to pick it up. You can't fork your own thing. I can't fork it into, I can't make two forks of the same thing. That's rude. Okay, well, I didn't practice that in advance. So luckily I have demo org1 rn. So that's where we're going to put this one. Let's do that. This is going to be called portfolio afternoon, because me and Amanda have already actually done this morning for our new thing where we have two episodes, two showings of every episode. So here we go. We're going to create this fork, and you can do just the same. And then you too can have all of this code for free. It's our free gift to you for coming to this stream today. So that was this link here in the chat if you didn't see it. Great. So now we have all of this code, which means we're ready to go. You probably want to update your README, etc. But I'm not going to, because we don't have time for that. I'm going to trust that you can do that on your own time, or leave it because you don't mind. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop this open. I'm going to pop it in a new tab just so I have access to the other one first, if we need it. And I'm going to change the .com to .dev. And that means it's going to open this project, that repo that you just copied, in a browser-based Visual Studio Code. And then we're going to be able to edit it in there, which is going to be pretty cool. So I'm going to need to also add Amanda to be part of my team. So you can see here in demo org 1, we're going to want to add Amanda in here. So we're going to add Amanda. Well, I am. You didn't have to do that. You could add Amanda if you want. I'm going to need to log in first. So I'm just popping this over here. Then once I'm in, I can add Amanda, and then I'm going to need to add Amanda into my live sharing as well. So let's add Amanda to the team. Helps if you spell people's handles correctly. There we have Amanda. And great. She can be a bright contributor. Okay, so now Amanda's in my team. She'll be able to access it more easily. We can see here that we're in a Visual Studio Code editor. I have a bunch of extensions installed, so I'm going to start by sharing this with Amanda, and then I'm going to tell you how to get CodeSwing set up. But if you wanted to work on a university project, for instance, with other people, you could go and you could get the live share extension, and you just click share, and then I get a link, and I'm just going to send it to Amanda, and then she will have access to that. So I'm just going to pop that over here into our secret chat in our StreamYard. Now that I've worked out since this morning where that is. Cool. So, okay. So while Amanda joins us in here, let's also open up our CodeSwing extension. So if you don't know how to add an extension, all you need to do is look for this like 3 boxes and 1 box thing, and you can click in there and you can install CodeSwing with that. So you can see I already have a few things already installed in here. But I'm going to use the one that I've already got installed by going Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P, depending on your Mac or your keyboard situation. And I'm going to click Open CodeSwing because I've already created the CodeSwing using Initialize Workspace when I set up the template. So I'm going to go Open CodeSwing. And going to say, yes, Portfolio Afternoon. I want that to be in CodeSwing now. And now we can see that we've got HTML, we've got some CSS, and we've got this, template here that's kind of ready for it to go. So I'll just zoom it out a bit so I can have a look. And yeah, we've got, lots of space to do some adding and one demo project here that we can make some adaptations to and then have more projects. But let's talk a little bit about HTML and CSS and etc. first. So yeah, we've just had a little quick look at the template. And yeah, so Amanda, you want to tell us about the languages of the web?
Okay, so HTML allows us to format a document with things called tags, and I think you did a live stream on HTML and CSS already. So if you're really not sure, you can go back and watch that. But it identifies different sections of a document that can then have styles applied to them. So that's what CSS is for. And then JavaScript, we're not going to have a look at today, but we're going to have a look at that next fortnight. That's right? Fortnight when we do part 2. Yes. But that's where we can add some interactivity, a bit more complex interactivity. So we have interactivity built into HTML. There are things like links and buttons, and we can style those with CSS, including things like hovers that we're going to have a look at today. But things like making it look nice on my phone is really hard without something like JavaScript. So it's handy to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, also, yeah. I have had some students in my classes think that Java was short for JavaScript, and so start calling it Java. And that's absolutely not the truth. There was some kind of marketing thing going on way back when JavaScript was invented, and they are completely different languages. So that's what that PSA is all about.
Yeah, they're as similar as a car and carpet is what our lovely friend, COO of Tech Inclusion, says. Alex McCulloch, car and carpet, that's how similar they are. Don't mix them up, and you'll sound smarter if you use the right one in the right context and feel like they know what they're talking about. So yes, thank you for handling that, Amanda. While I removed a cat that was walking across the keyboard, so that was that fun screen share glitch you had there. So thank you, BB. He's now left the stream. So let's talk. Yeah, so we have, as Amanda was saying, our HTML content. So yeah, our tags, which kind of structure all of our content, and we can group them in different ways so we know what parts go together, and it really makes it easier to manage all of that content, and then to do something, make it beautiful as well. So some things you might see in HTML are headings, paragraphs, links to things, images, lists, and things like, you also include things like this should be emphasized, like it should be italics, or this should be bold, it should be strong, and other things that have instructions about the context of the content, without actually prescribing what that necessarily looks like at that time. But it also includes other things that you won't see in your page. So these are all things you'll notice, but there's a bunch of stuff that you won't be able to notice because it's kind of behind the scenes. So it's things like sections and divs and stuff that will put things into boxes, that mean you can style those boxes differently or lay them out in different ways. Yeah, what else can we say about styles, Amanda? I guess we've got a lot of fun things.
Yeah, I particularly like that in github.dev we've got little color choosers and things like that. Makes stuff really easy, and would be appropriate for my students. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And like you can also
choose.
Make things look like they're designed for humans with CSS, I guess is what I'd say.
Right.
Like margins and padding, you have no idea how important having white space around your text is until you don't have any because you haven't added that part of your CSS yet, and you're like, yuck, I can't read this. Why is my text up against the left-hand side of my computer monitor? And you realize you haven't added any CSS yet, and you're like, I did this to myself. So,
but I do know that that the best way to debug your CSS is to just put a red solid box around everything so you can see where it is that your layout is completely mucking up.
Yeah, that's a hot tip there. Why don't we just leave those? I don't know. It would be much easier to figure it all out if we just had red boxes everywhere. Only joking. Don't do that. It would make things worse. Do as a nice debugging thing. I love to just see, to make sure my CSS is actually linked properly, I just turn the whole background bright yellow or something. And then you're like, great, the CSS has arrived. Now to make it not look like this ever again. So yeah, here's some of the things we can do with our styles. As we said, margins and padding, but also giving things a width, like an image, because you kind of want to say this. I don't want this image to take up the entire breadth of the page. I'd rather it actually just be a little icon next to your name, for instance. And you've got ability to set fonts, and as Amanda said, colors, choosing a color picker, and that's a really great way to add your own styles. And as well as putting background images in. So you can have those nice splash images or really, subtle desaturated images behind your text to make something look fun without having it too in your face. So a lot of fun things there. Yeah, and finally, Amanda, do you want to talk about JavaScript?
Yeah, so I only know enough JavaScript to get my page up and running. I am not a JavaScript developer, and I don't know anything about async, but I can navigate the DOM and get things to appear and disappear, and have menu bars and things like that, and resizing. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be talking about next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't need to do anything too fancy. We don't need to call any APIs or anything, but we do want to be able to move stuff around the screen when you click on stuff or whatever we like. So that's a fun way to get started with JavaScript before you decide how much JavaScript you actually want to learn. Yeah, but let's go and take a look at our site a bit in terms of what's actually there in the HTML and CSS. So yeah, I'll scroll us over so we actually have the style line. Amanda.
You want me to take the head? Okay, so
yeah, go for it.
the head is all the hidden stuff that we don't need to show on the screen, but we want to be there. So we've actually got the title. So this title is what appears in our tab at the top of the screen. And so if you don't want your page to say Renee Noble Portfolio, then you're going to want to change that title. And then the other things are linking documents. So we've got a link to the style sheet that we've made, this one called styles.css in the files section. But we also have a link to a style sheet that we didn't make. That is actually the Font Awesome style sheet, which is where all our little icons come from. And we also have some connections to other sites that we're going to use, especially things like, I think that's a font family, and the static fonts. Yep.
Yeah. So just taking other people's code, you can do that with links. I love to do it. Yeah. We got these little icons from Font Awesome, and they just make your site look so much more professional already. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about this header section where we do get to use those bits. So I've created this heading. I've also given it a class as a banner, and you'll see the banner comes in again when we get to my project. So it's just this like green background, which we've set with CSS. For anything that gets the class banner, it gets this green background. And then you're probably going to want to put your name in there. I'll put my name in there. But you should, just like this part in the head, you should also put your name. It's probably going to be more professional that way. So, and then we've got some sections in here. I think let's look at the article first. Oh, yeah, right where Amanda's got it. We've got in here, just a little blurb about myself or yourself, and you can put in your title in your heading. So I might say I'm a full stack developer, or if you're in university or high school, you might say you're an aspiring developer, an aspiring data scientist, or an aspiring front-end developer. Just to give people an idea of where you want to go and what you're working towards, and what this portfolio's context really is. Like, what am I going to see when I scroll down here? It's probably going to be about a bunch of front-end development projects if I want to be a front-end developer. And then you can, we've got a little paragraph where you can write about yourself and those goals in a bit more depth. And then over to our nice green box here, which doesn't look great when I've got it narrow, but that's a project for later, or for just telling people don't look at it on your phone. I haven't added the reactive sizing yet. And here we've got a bunch of, I thought we got rid of these I tags. I thought we turned these all into spans. Anyway, so these are all just a way to give you, firstly, like we have our little icons, firstly, which is all of these ones. I'm getting rid of the eyes because it's not really the best thing to have in your code these days, because they're a bit prescriptive as to what it should look like. So I've changed them just to spans, but as we can see, it doesn't really change them. And it gives us our icons, and then it gives us a link to where we're going to want to go afterwards, whether we want to send an email or we're going to jump to a GitHub profile. The piece de resistance of your profile is linking to your GitHub, or your Twitter, or your LinkedIn. We've got all those there just in here. So you can add more of these. So this is where we've used those little icons from that imported font, and you can add more. There's more for like Medium or for Instagram, etc. Someone is asking in the chat, is this the Minecraft stream? And I'm sorry, this is not the Minecraft stream. This is actually how to make a GitHub Pages portfolio. But feel free to stay on and join us in making a portfolio. Yes, but that is our heading chunk there. Then we've got our next part, Amanda, which is the projects.
Yeah. So it's good to do what Renee's done here, which is to set up one article that is the way you want it to look for all projects. So we have an image and a project title and a blurb, and then some like an unordered list and some buttons. And so this can then perform as a template for the rest of the site. So you can have 2 projects or 15 projects, and they can just be a copy and paste of your own template. And then we just change the images and change the text.
Yeah, so this whole chunk here, ready to go again and be used for 2, 3, 4, or 27 different projects if we have them and they're ready to be put in a portfolio. 27 might be too many, I'm thinking.
I think we need to curate. Yes, definitely.
Yes, I think it's the part we're going to talk about cutting down later. So before we go and build our portfolio, then let's jump back and talk about what is good to put in a portfolio. And I think that really depends like who you are, what stage of your life you're in, and like who your audience is, who you're selling to. So Amanda, do you have a perspective on like how to sell yourself to the right people?
Well, I just think that you have to tailor your portfolio for the audience. So if you're trying to go for a scholarship that shows that you're a well-rounded human being, then you might have different things in your portfolio than if you're going for a front-end developer role. You just want to be a junior front-end developer and you want to show off a couple of front-end projects you've done already. It's important to make sure that you've got your audience in mind when you're choosing what to show and what not to show.
Yeah, I think that's like key to anything. Like, don't try it. You can't please all of the people all of the time. Just think about who you actually want to please and then put things in for them rather than trying to sell yourself to every single person. You can always have multiple portfolios that you link people to if you think, oh, I might want to be a full stack or I might want to be a front end or, I want to go into data science. If you have a lot of projects, you could do that. But don't try and smush them all together if you're not trying to go for like a generalist role. I guess, what not to include is also just as important. As I just said, probably don't include 27 different projects in your portfolio because how they're going to know, like that's probably more time than they have to look at any individual applicant's portfolio. So I'd really be focusing on like how many do we think? 3 or 5 or so projects that you think really exemplify your top skills and the job that you're looking for. What do you think, Amanda?
Yeah, I was thinking around there, 3 to 5, especially because if there's a particular job description that you're aiming for, then they'll often have things that they want you to be able to show, that they want you to be able to prove. And so tailoring it for that is really important. Also, I think you were mentioning this morning that sometimes we're really proud of that project we did in year 11. That was the first time we'd ever done that kind of project before, but maybe once you get to the end of university, that's no longer appropriate to keep in. I know I get a bit cringe when I look at my past projects. So we want to make sure that we're showcasing our current skill level and not just our historical skill level.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing. So we have had a question in the chat from Alicia, which I'm not entirely sure is a good answer for, but maybe Amanda knows anything about Behance.
I was madly Googling Behance while you threw to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool. Well, I've had a quick look, and so I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm not sure if it has a programmatic element, and if you were a visual designer, then maybe you might want to go. It's based with Adobe, so maybe it's more suited to that. This will give you the ability to do more programmatic stuff, so it might be more customizable. I think is probably where it's going to take you in terms of like. Also being able to do those customizations with code, so possibly just being able to borrow them from code that's already written by somebody else, and then really changing it up to do exactly what you want. So I think with your designing your own website, you always have that flexibility to do whatever you like, and you can start small, which we're going to do today, and then build up to it over time.
Yeah. I think that the Behance one looks like it's where we're using templates that designers have designed. And this is, I guess it's more aimed at the technical crowd because they get to say, look, I made this, or this is my skill level in the portfolio as well as the portfolio itself.
Yes, the portfolio is itself an item in its own portfolio. It's like portfolio inception going on there. Yeah. Finally, our last item before we build the portfolio is how to bring yourself with your portfolio, because being yourself really does matter, because you do want to be memorable. And if you look, Google or Bing search for the most, the best portfolios or top portfolios for developers, they're actually really like, they've got graphics, they've got a theme, they've got a lot happening, but also like a cohesive design. So I think that's a really important part when you're trying to sell yourself. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. Even if you choose to use a template because you don't have the time to build it from scratch right now, you still want to tailor it so that it feels like yours. So it feels comfortable, like a room, like your bedroom. You want it to be representative of who you are and what you like, and your vibe, I guess, to use a youth word.
I like it. I like the bedroom analogy because, yeah, if you had, you're 25 years old and you've got like Ninja Turtles bed sheets still, you might be like, this maybe doesn't represent me at this stage of my life. I don't exactly want to invite my friends over to see my room in this state, potentially. Maybe you do, and maybe that's what you want to be selling yourself as. I'm that cool Ninja Turtles 25-year-old, and that's what I'm going with. But yeah, whatever you bring it, I think, is what I'd say. Cool. Shall we make this into a portfolio?
Fantastic.
I love it. So I've already accidentally, in the one that we gave you, forgot to change this to be a generic heading. So it currently already says my name. You should change yours to not say my name. Unless your name also happens to be Renee Noble, in which case it's already great. So change that one up. Amanda's stealing this portfolio. This is Amanda's portfolio now. Similarly,
just all the projects are yours. So
look, you can also go and do all of the projects because these are all projects I've done in the stream previously. So if you're like, I don't know what to include in my portfolio, but I really liked how Renee's looked on that stream where they made a portfolio, you can just go and do all of these projects, and then you'll have a portfolio ready to go. So they're all on my website if you want to get those links. You can jump on there and do them all at any time because all the videos are there. So I've already added my name to be at the top here, and then we had some different title ideas. So you could be an aspiring whatever you want if you're still in uni. You can really, this is your portfolio, so you can say whatever you want to be. But maybe I want to be a full stack developer, or maybe I want to be a data scientist, maybe an aspiring full stack developer. I'm not going to say that because I think the women in tech scene would be as sad if a person who worked as a full stack developer for several years, said I was an aspiring developer. So be confident. If you're already a full stack developer, don't write aspiring. But if you're looking to get your first job as whatever it is, you can put aspiring there if you're not confident in saying that you are that thing yet. So I guess next up is our blurb. What would you say are the key things you'd want to put in a blurb?
Well, I really like that you've got your blurb about you and your goals there. That it's important that we make sure that we've not just got a bit of a blurb about what we do, but also about what we're aiming to do.
Yeah.
So I can.
Yeah, send me some goals, Amanda. I would like a direction in my life, actually. That'd be real great. Let's find it. I'm a developer. Good to know who is. I'll fix it.
I can't spell.
I got it.
I fixed it. No, you didn't fix it enough.
I didn't fix it. Okay. Spelling's not my key area. It's education and
I can't type. Don't watch me type.
Okay, well, I'll talk about some other stuff while Amanda tells me what my life's destiny is. So yeah, we can really make this into anything we want. Here, I'm going to get rid of this blurb, this placeholder part here. And you can really start writing like, I do a lot of stuff about data science and machine learning. I'm a person who's passionate about utilizing my skills to help in tackling climate change and education. So you could write something like that.
Renee, I have a problem.
Yeah.
I've hit enter a couple of times and it doesn't look any different.
No, we can see over here that it's actually just one big paragraph, even though you've got enters in it a bunch of times. So the issue is we've only just got this singular paragraph. So Amanda can add in to break this up into 2 paragraphs. We can't just be like, figure it out, HTML. You know what enter means. It actually strips out all of that white space. So Amanda's putting in these P tags to break it up. So now we have over here 2 paragraphs. There we go. Which looks much nicer. And if you were like, I need more space in between, you could actually go and you could add a bunch of break tags. If you're like, nah, I need I want this to be chunky.
I love all the white space
to go down. You want more white space, you can have it. If it doesn't suit you, or you can go and do that with your CSS. That's probably more sensible than adding like 15 different breaks. So don't do 15 breaks. If I see a large number of things to do, don't do it. It's exaggerative. Okay, so we've got my blurb here. Thank you, Amanda. This is my life goal. It's true. She knows me so well. So let's go on to fixing up our links in here. So we've got our email address. I'm not going to put my actual email address into this stream because I might get too many fan mails. I don't know, or not fan mails. I hope only fan mails, but the internet, who knows? I'm not sure. No one on our stream right now is not nice, but the rest of the world could find this and send me lots of advertisements. So if you have this, then if we click this, it would open up a mail client, and then it would be ready to send an email to renee@example.com. Or you can just copy it out like I do, because I never actually set up my mail client to be useful, because I don't know why I don't do that. But Amanda is smart and has her things set up to work properly. So that's good.
Aisha's asked a clarifying question. They think that portfolios are more suited for developers than designers. I'm not sure that that's true, but it's just that designers have, these. I think I'm gonna rephrase. Are you ready? I think that the slight danger with using too many templates is that we could get to the point back in the 90s when everybody had exactly the same PowerPoint slideshow because they all used the same template and nobody was at all unique. And so it's not that hard to learn a little bit of HTML and CSS to style things unique for you, and it can be a really empowering thing.
Yeah, I think, I agree. Like and it's really a great tool to have as a designer, like to be able to, because like there's a lot of jobs in like UX design, especially at this time, and people who can do a little bit of crossover into that, like, but how would that actually come into reality? Even if you don't do it as part of your job, it's just a really useful tool to have your brain around. So I can advocate for learning a little bit of HTML and CSS, and it looks a little bit scary to get started with, but it's actually not that tricky. And if you want more tips on actually how to write the HTML and CSS yourself, you can go back to my episodes of In the Code Garden from July, where we do 3 episodes on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and how to do it from scratch. So there's a bunch of stuff there, and I'll give you some more links at the end of the show of other things you can do to get some skills.
And when I made my portfolio in preparation for this session, I went and stole a template off the internet, but I then tailored it by adding images that I'd made from my generative art presentation that I made, and so the images are things that I've made, and then I changed the colors a little bit, and then I changed a couple of the fonts, and then suddenly it really doesn't look very much like the template anymore.
Yeah, like Amanda said at some point, she's like, I'm going to try using a template. And then she sent me a link to her site. And then I knew I'd seen a lot of the images in her conference talks before. So I thought she'd made the whole site. I was like, how did you do this in like 5 hours, Amanda? What the heck? So yeah, you can trick people really well into thinking that you did the whole thing by using a template, but making, especially if you're a designer, you're adding your own custom graphics and stuff that'll look great. Yeah, cool. So while Amanda's been talking, I've added my GitHub profile to here. So you really want to link that GitHub profile. That's where all of your stuff is. So people, if you showcase a few of your projects on your portfolio, but you can link to the whole repo, your whole profile, so people can get more of an overview if they want to delve in or follow you on GitHub potentially. Yeah, I love user 09870. They didn't know Minecraft had so many scripts in it, so welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. So I'm also going to update my Twitter handle here. If your Twitter handle isn't Noble_Renee, I'd also advise changing that part of the template, which we haven't updated for you there as well. And as we said earlier, you can use these to add more things. So you could add, an Instagram. You just need to look around, and have a look for the different class names that you need. Oh yes, user 09870. I know, but we're just very glad you're here anyway. We love as many friends as we can have. So welcome to Portfolio Club. And then your LinkedIn one, you probably just want to write your name there. So yeah, I think we have a heading is kind of done there. So what should we start with for the project section, Amanda? Now that we've got a beautiful heading.
Didn't you have to get some images over here for us?
I'll do that. Yeah, cool. Let's do that while I upload these. So I can go in here and I can right click on here to upload. If you're in VS Code, you can just drag them in, but you need to click upload if you want to do them in here in github.dev. So I'm going to include these three. So they are now arriving. So we've got 3 different images for the 3 projects that I want to showcase today. And these are all images from things that I have streamed about this year. So if you're like, that looks fun, then you too can go and watch that and do it. Because they were fun.
There's a call for sharing the links to the HTML and CSS streams if you have them.
They are. Let me grab
Renee's
that.
doing everything at the moment, so
yes, I am. If you watch regularly and you're like, I love Sarah, she puts all the links in the chat. She's not here today, so I'm also Sarah. So I've been upgraded to being Renee and Sarah at the same time. But I'm going to put a link to the Code Garden site. And then you can jump down there and just look out for the part that is from July. And then, you can check this out. This page will have lots of different stuff. It's got how to do a full stack site. It's got how to do Python, lots of stuff. So lots of fun stuff in there. Cool. Okay. Let us continue on then with our site. So Amanda has gone and copied. Let's zoom out so we can.
I copied some things.
Copied. So we had this one article, and now we have 3 articles because now we can see over here we have 3 different projects rather than just the one. And Amanda has kindly gone and put in. Back in. Change these from images/image1 to images party and images translate. And then the bottom one is images Wordle. So that's how we've got our 3 different images there just by linking the one, to the things that we just uploaded. And now it's already looking way better now that it doesn't have just a big gray box that says you should put a picture in here. So that's looking pretty good to me. Cool. Okay, so I guess I'll go and give this project a title. So what did I call you? Project? I think you're called something to do with language translation and web app. So let's have this. So really useful to have what it is, like it's a web app, and here's what it does. That way people will be like, oh, they applied for this web developer's position. This project seems relevant to me. I'm going to look into that specifically. So that's a really good. Use your headings wisely. They're a good place because a lot of time people who don't have a lot of time when they're recruiting, they're going to skim and they're going to look for key parts rather than reading every single thing on your page.
I just want to call out Jack's comment because I really appreciate it from. I quite like coding with a friend, but also I appreciate it from a teacher's perspective because pair programming is a really important learning tool. And so being able to do this and pair program and have slightly more able programmers assist slightly less able programmers, it's a really nice sharing learning thing.
Yeah, and it's just convenient when you're doing a stream. So one of us can be typing, and the other one can be speaking. It's just a lot easier if you're doing some sort of demo, a lecture, whatever really. Always bring a buddy. Life is better with a buddy. Okay, cool. So we've got a heading, and then let's talk about the dot points next, because that's a nice clear section to really highlight the skills you've had. So probably if someone's not got a lot of time, they're going to read the heading, like language translation app. But what does that mean? Technologies. Oh, and these are the actual technologies that we use for this one: Python, Flask, and Azure Cognitive Services. And that's going to like tick some boxes for them. Hopefully, if they're like looking to recruit someone for using Azure API, or if they want to recruit a web developer, a full stack developer, those are really handy things to flag clearly. So having them there, we've got a little highlight as a class I've added in the CSS. We'll take a peek at the CSS because we didn't do that when we went through the template, just to make this pop out. And I've also gone and colored all of our little dot points green with the CSS just to make it look coherent, etc. So we've got that going on. And so now we've made those look, pop out as like, oh, these are the things that you know about. That's really great to know if I'm hiring for a job. Cool. What do we want to do next, Amanda? Do we want to do buttons, or do we want to do a paragraph or description?
I'm trying to change the banner color, but my clicking isn't working. Very irritated. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
here we go. Yeah. I have a pretty color.
I'm going to bring up the CSS. Here we go. We've got the CSS. Actually, I have in my code swing. It's just down here, so I'm going to make that go up. I've got to delete some of these parts there from our template. So we've got some general styles for the body, like the font that we've imported from Google Fonts. And then we've got some things to do with the layout, like how this is taking up 75% on the left and 30% on the right, just to split up the header. And then Amanda's gone and changed our banner color, as we said earlier, that we'd put that banner class on these two different headings. So then we could just update that easily. We could also go and update all of these headings if we wanted to be purple, using this color picker. What if I just pick a different color? I'm going to make it pink. There we go. It's looking vibrant in here, Amanda, but I like it.
It's very exciting.
It's great. This is becoming more professional by the second. Rainbow. That's it. So, and a hot tip for web design is when you are choosing, designing something for the web, probably pick one or two colors. Because as much as I love all the designs that I've seen my own students make in the past, where they have had about 6 to 12 colors that they've chosen, it is normally more cohesive when you just have the one or two. As we can see,
I did once get a web page submitted that was all shades of pink. Just the entire thing was shades of pink. They went from baby pink all the way through to magenta, and it was very difficult to look at.
I do wish to see that, but that's great. I'm going to once again delete some things that got left in the template. So all these are commented out. So obviously not doing anything. They're not necessary for you. But we've got more colors, and then we even get down the bottom a little hover. So I'll pop this over so we can see the hover in action. So when we hover, it comes under this color here. So it goes, oh, okay, that's the that class being hovered on. I'm going to change the color. So that's how we get that, and changes the color of the text as well. So super simple thing, 3 lines of code, but makes it look like a real website, which is great, especially when you're trying to sell yourself to potentially be a developer of some kind. So really good attention to detail when you have those kinds of features in there. Cool. So that's, we've got a bunch of CSS in here. Obviously, you can play with all the things and change them to whatever colors you like. Would recommend to bring your own style. I like green, but also we've got Amanda on the team, so we need to have that purple. We've got to have that teamwork going on. So here's what we've got now. So we've got our colors going on. And let's jump back to that box that we had at the bottom, because we had these links. They look really not good because we haven't added any responsiveness yet. But here we go, back to our links. So really great if you can link to the GitHub repo, so people can actually go and look at all the code, because like a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I'm going to say a GitHub repository is worth like 10,000 words. So people can actually know how you went about doing it and the quality of the code you did, because I could have actually just made this this photo in Canva, I guess, and then just put it up here. So showing people how you did it and like the quality of like how many comments you put in and how many lines of code and stuff you did to do it. It's really, nice to see like the structure you put behind it. So would recommend. Similarly, if you have a live website, which I think this is live somewhere, I'm not actually going to add that link today because it's one of my many streams that lives somewhere in the universe now, so you can probably find it on the internet. But if you have a live website, it's even better than the GitHub code in some ways, or they go really well together because you can see what does it look like, how does it feel to use it, and then also now that they know what they're looking at, they can go and look for specific stuff in the code. So that's really great. So I'm going to pop in a link to my GitHub site, my GitHub repo for that one. Do you have any description, like things for the description, Amanda? What would you be using to describe your workshops, your different projects?
Yeah, I really like the listing the technologies in the bullet points, and so just expanding on how I've used those technologies and a summary of what the point was. I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I think why did you do this? Possibly even what you learnt might be useful along the way, kind of.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Like my first endeavor to learn about Azure Cognitive Service. And what the project is for, because they don't know what the project is. So you do need to spell out some of the stuff and like describe how those different bits of technology you've just listed, Python, Flask, and Azure Cognitive Services, actually come together to give you the project that you want, that you're demonstrating. Okay, so I put my link in the wrong place, so I'm going to pop it into here. And Amanda is giving us a beautiful description for this project.
Bit of a description. Talking like I know exactly what was in your
my project that you didn't do.
Sorry about that.
That's beautiful. I think it's pretty good. That's it. That's exactly what the thing did. So it's quite self-explanatory. And then in a later stream, I also deployed it with Azure App Service. So that's not currently in my list, but I could add that once I updated my project. I'd probably want to update my portfolio to say that I also deployed it live, and you could see it here at the live link. So that's looking good. So for time's sake, shall I just get the rest of our? Well, we've got actually most of it in there.
I think we're doing some copy and paste. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good. So let's copy paste.
We want to get it on the web. We want to get it on the web.
Yeah, we've got to get it on the web, which is the key thing. So let's chuck in, make it look like it has headings, and then we're going to put it on the web. Okay, great. It's got headings now, etc. And it's got all of these different technologies that were used in my Wordle or my invitation maker apps. So let's now go and put it on the web. But first, we need to actually commit this code. So it's going to actually get deployed, which we forgot to do in the morning one. So let's start by adding.
Super fun.
It was really good.
This looks exactly like the template.
Yeah, very strange. We're going to add all of our images and the updates to our files, to our CSS and our HTML. And I'm going to say, personalized portfolio content. So then I'm going to click tick. That's going to commit it. And because we are in github.dev, it also pushes it. So it's going to do both of those. So if you're in VS Code, you'll need to commit and then push it. So in VS Code, if you click this button, there'll be a push button as well. Cool. Okay, that's there now. Let us jump over to here. Settings. So we're going to go to Pages, and we're going to, so it has deploy from a branch, which is what we want. And then we're going to choose a branch, which is main. And then we're going to save that. And then we're going to wait for it to deploy. In the meantime, me and Amanda can tell you about our event that we have coming up next week, which is, because we're not doing episode 2 of this one next week, we're doing the Education Showcase. Amanda, tell us about the Education Showcase.
So excited. Okay, so for the last bunch of years, 4 or 5, I've been part of the team that's run the education's track before the conference for PyCon AU. And so we have a special day where there are a bunch of specialist tracks, and education has been one of them for 4 or 5 years. And for 3 or 4 years, we've had students coming to PyCon either online or in person to showcase their amazing projects. And we have an application process, and we choose the best projects. And it's also a lot about the journey, about the ups and downs and the craziness of how they've gone through this project over a semester. So it's not always a highly successful project. It's about the story that they have to tell. And so once we've chosen some students, they video themselves showcasing their project. And we're going to be, because PyCon isn't running this year for a number of reasons, we didn't want everyone to miss out. So we've partnered with Microsoft Reactor and Tech Inclusion, and we're running the Education Showcase next Tuesday. So you're welcome to come online or in person. It's a hybrid event, and we'll have a bunch of students and some fantastic talks that kind of have a bit of an education bent to them, and also see humans in 3D. It's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm super excited to see all of my 3-dimensional friends, as well as some really, really awesome student submissions. Sometimes you're just super impressed and you're like, oh my God, why am I so envious of this child? They're just so cool. Like, how do I be as cool as Sally? She's amazing. So yeah, get inspired and hear a couple of talks. I'll be speaking about my business. You might have seen my sign in the background. I'll tell you what that actually is about if you've been wondering for the last 9 months. And also we have Alex Hope speaking on security, and they also do magic tricks. So maybe there'll be a magic trip. So that would be pretty fun. Would we share the topics or agenda? Yeah, we can. I think we'll update the site soon to include the topics in the agenda, but the kids' topics, I don't know if we can reveal those before the day, Amanda.
I know a couple of them off the top of my head. We've got one that's exploring Bezier curves in SVGs. Those are some funky maths right there. We have one that implemented 3D Minesweeper in Pygame, which is really not designed for 3D. And so they did all the maths of how to turn cubes into parallelograms to display. And we have a project that's a visualizer for Mandelbrot set. So it just very diverse, very exciting.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm excited to hear Alex Hope talk, even though I've heard them speak many times before, because they just have cool.
Always entertaining. Yes.
Cool. They're the person who hacked Tony Abbott. So that's just a good story right there.
It's just a good story right there.
So yes, there is the link on the screen. It's up it's at 4:56 in the comments. You can grab that and you can register on the Reactor site there. So that's coming up, but for right now, let's go and take a look at our website, which is hopefully deployed. So I'm going to refresh this page, and then it's going to give me my link to my site. What's happened? I've deployed the wrong thing, Amanda. Oh my God, because we went to I moved projects. Oh boy, that's embarrassing. Let's go back to this repo and redeploy that one. We get another demonstration of how to deploy it.
How not to deploy pages. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Okay, yeah, cool. We're going to go to pages again. Luckily, I have more plugs that we could get to do again. We're going to deploy main branch. We're in the correct project. This time, portfolio afternoon.
Yeah, that's great.
Save that. And let's jump back. We've still got this on the screen, education showcase. Scroll up to register for that. And let's also talk about what else is coming up.
What's coming up in a fortnight?
In a fortnight, yeah. So before then, you can practice some more if you want. So we've put together a cloud skills challenge for you if you want to practice some VS Code stuff or some GitHub stuff if you haven't used it before. There's also some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript content in there. So there's modules in this that are hosted on Microsoft Learn that will help you step through each step of the process and give you a little quiz along the way.
That would be useful for Aisha, who was looking for HTML and
Yes.
CSS. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can also follow this resume workshop, which I'll drop a link to that in the comments as well. Actually, I'm going to drop you a bunch of resources into the comments, which you can do. You can get started with the Cloud Skills Challenge. I've also linked in there a video from which I did a couple months ago on getting started with Git called Getting Started to help. It's like a 2-hour workshop that talks you through the process of committing and merging and all different kinds of things. And as we mentioned earlier, there are 3 episodes of In the Code Garden from July, which talk about HTML and CSS. So that will really help you get started if you haven't really done any HTML and CSS before. So that is on my website as well, if you want to watch all of those, which I linked earlier. And it's got a bunch of other links to different activities on Microsoft Learn. And then yes, in the comments also is that link to building your resume website, which would go lovely with your portfolio site, which
definitely would.
Now deployed. Okay. Here we go. Actually, the right side. As we can see,
and it's
beautiful with our colors. So that's our portfolio site, and we can see we've got our 3 different projects in there, and it's looking pretty awesome, I think. So,
and just having something there that's not blank is already motivating to make you want to tweak with it, play with it, make it better.
Make it your own. Make it your own colors. Make it 5 colors. I'm joking. Make it 2 colors. Or 1 color. It's just super fun. And I think, it makes you kind of keep building onto it as you go. And you get to see where you've come from and be like, you know what? I really loved that project I did at the time 5 years ago, but I've actually done so much more since then. And I really want to make room and curate it to show off my new skills. So that's really, really fun. Oops. Okay. So I think I've just got a couple more links for me to drop for you. So you can watch this on demand as well as other content from the Microsoft Reactor. So let me drop, if you want to check out more of the upcoming events, not just ones by me, by our many other cloud advocates, you can check them out in the Reactor upcoming events on Meetup and register there. You can also check out the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel to see my videos and lots of other videos, because there's lots of other people like me around the world contributing to that channel. And finally, you can check out today's video on demand at this link here. One last thing. Well, first, let's say we have, in a fortnight's time, we're going to be spicing this up a little bit with maybe some JavaScript to make it a little bit more interactive. I don't know if we want to add a carousel or some sort of moving images or something, so you can have multiple shots of your site. I'm not sure. We've got a few options to work with there to make it a bit more flavorsome and a bit more options to showcase your own personality and also your skills. What do you think, Amanda? Spicy? So that's kind of what we've got coming up in a fortnight. So you can go back and watch this episode if you want to practice some more. There's also this morning's episode. If you're like, you know what, I want to see them do it again, but slightly different, that's what you can watch there. Other than that, it would be awesome if you could do today's survey to let us know what you think of today's episode, because we love hearing what you think, and we always strive to do the best streams we can. That's why I brought Amanda on the show. Let's thank Amanda for coming on the show today. Unless there's any other questions, which I'll wait a second for. We're going to wrap up. Any other last comments, Amanda?
No, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be coming back anytime.
Yay! That's what we love to hear. Thank you everybody for joining us today in the Code Garden, and we hope you have enjoyed making your own portfolio site or have something to start on and then keep working on. So we'll catch you hopefully next week for the Education Showcase, or in a fortnight for the next episode of In the Code Garden with Renee and Amanda. So I'll catch you all then. Bye.
Bye.